Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasul Kareem. This will be a short biography of the great scholar, the Shaykh Al-Hanabila, Al-Imam Hasan Ash-Shatti, rahimahullah. The Shatti family is originally from Baghdad, in today's Iraq. The grandfather, Umar ibn Ma'ruf al-Baghdadi, was an accomplished scholar of his legal school and a great figure amongst the people in Baghdad. Other notables include his brother, Shaykh Muhammad ibn Ma'ruf, and his son, Shaykh Abdullah al-Baghdadi. These great people were also contemporaries of scholars such as Shaykh Muhammad ibn Kamaluddin al-Bakri al-Siddiqi and his friend Shaykh Muhammad ibn Ahmad, both of whom being students of the Grand Imam Shaykh Muhammad ibn Abu al-Muwahib al-Dimashqi. As a child, Shaykh Umar was surrounded by people of knowledge. Such righteousness was brought to fruition when he married a noble daughter from the Az-Zubair section of the city of Al-Basra, a stronghold of Hanbali fiqh and also female scholars. The result of this union was a number of children, the most well-known being a child by the name of Hasan. This young man was born in the year 1206 in the city of Damascus in Sham, while the married couple were visiting scholarly relatives and acquaintances. The soon-to-be Shaykh Hasan proved himself capable when he memorized the Quran and some 18 books, one in each science of Islam, while still in his pre-teens. He studied with closer relatives and others. He started by learning from his father, then subsequently gained knowledge from one of the seminal scholars of his time, Shaykh Mustafa ibn Sa'ad al-Ruhaybani, studying the science of hadith, commentary, fiqh, the principles of creed and fiqh, and also inheritance. Shaykh Hasan Ash-Shatti quickly showed an aptitude for learning, delving into and mastering the science of Islam, including, of course, grammar, syntax, and their subcategories. He visited numerous masjids and received legal authorizations from his teachers in institutions such as Umayyah Family Central Masjid, Al-Batra'i Seminary in Iraq, and others. He was known to constantly be researching and left his house when necessary. He wrote numerous books, more than 50 in number, on various subjects. They include books on such topics as the birth of the Prophet ﷺ and celebrating it, and the commentary of bringing things to be, a book on Arabic grammar. He also wrote Summation of the Pearl, a commentary on the theological work of Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad ibn Ahmad al-Safarini, the great Damascene and master of heresiography. He traveled to Baghdad in his 20s and met great scholars such as Shaykh Muhammad al-Bukairi and Shaykh Dawood ibn Sulaiman al-Khalidi. Upon completion of his learning, he returned to Damascus and continued his teaching, at which time he reached the post of expounder, then jurist, and not long thereafter judge. People from far and wide came to take all that could be learned from this towering figure of knowledge and gaze at him to see his wisdom. In his life, he also wrote documents and offered material and physical aid for the preparation and execution of continued resistance against the French led by the great Sheikh Amir Abdul Qadir, the great warrior of Algeria and hero to the Muslims. The Emir had traveled far and wide to Baghdad, Damascus, and other areas for seeking the help of the Muslims. He found Shaykh Hasan Ash-Shatti willing to help. Shaykh Hasan was known for his easy smile, good manners, and righteous demeanor towards all people, Muslim and unbeliever. He was also an accomplished scholar of theology, and witnessed many difficulties and tribulations that would affect his life and the life of so many other Muslims. When the Salafi call rose to prominence, it set itself out as the only true way of knowing the truth and made good on his word by killing those who would not accept its ideas. A measure of his bravery was the fact that he resisted this subversive and violent influence when he received a letter from Abdullah al-Shaykh, the successor to the movement's founder and messianic figure with prophetic pretensions, Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. Scholars were assassinated and threatened throughout the Muslim world in places as far afield as Baghdad, where his teacher, Shaykh Dawood ibn Sulaiman al-Khalidi, had dodged the assassin's sword, and in Najd and Mecca in Arabia, where towns and villages, beginning with teachers and high-ranking figures, were put to the sword. Imam Hasan Ash-Shatti had never met or known the founder of the movement as other scholars who preceded him, many of whom were murdered, but it was no less risky in his own time. While laying in bed and very ill, he received a letter from Abdullah al-Shaykh, inviting him to the organization and to preach this particular doctrine to the people and allow their missionaries to have free reign in his jurisdiction. Although dying and in great pain, he refuted them on the last page of the letter they had sent, with all the bravery that a scholar of his caliber would be expected to do in times of turmoil. His death came in the year 1274, being buried in his city. A huge funeral procession followed immediately after. As with every great tree of knowledge, seeds were left behind. His students include the Sheikhs Sa'id Effendi Al-Hanbali, Abdullah Sufan Al-Qaddumi, Muhammad Effendi Al-Shafi'i, not forgetting his two sons, Ahmad Ash-Shatti and Muhammad Ash-Shatti, who also became scholars. These scholars continued the tradition of preaching and teaching, but also warning people from these strange groups, which by now had gained somewhat of a foothold in Damascus, although tiny. Books were written, people were taught, and numerous centers of knowledge were built. One such venture was a joint effort between all scholars of the four schools to better and reinvigorate the orthodox faith as taught at the Darul Hadith Center. The Shattis worked intensely with Hanafi imams and other scholars to hasten this process. As with each decade, they were losing ground to theologically poisonous movements such as the Shia, particularly the Alawi, Druze, Salafi, and others that were working diligently to uproot the orthodox faith that had always been the majority faith of that area. This constant effort produced sheikhs such as Muhammad ibn Humayt al-Najdi, who had come from Mecca to learn, Abdul Qadir al-Badran al-Dumi, Muhammad ibn Uthman al-Dumi, and countless others. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.